If you are new to our channel, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that little bell notification thing. It really does help us out.
Why is there so much censorship in the world? Well, historically, if you look, the ruling elite class has always held the secretive knowledge and always kept it from the working class, or the slaves, perhaps. So yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think today is probably any different from any other point in our history, and I think that the ruling elites, the billionaires with all the money, I believe they've got a lot of secrets, probably. And they don't want the general public to know, because it stops their billion-dollar money-making machines from keep piling more and more of the world's wealth into the hands of a very few select families. The number of billionaires has increased.
During this crisis, the wealthy, very wealthy, have all done very well out of the stock market crash. China's done very well out of the stock market crash as well, apparently. They're buying up loads of stock for cheap. But the very wealthy don't lose money when things like this happen.
No, it's almost like they had, preconceived notion of this occurring, and that they could exit the markets quietly before...
Careful, you get us banned. You do have to wonder sometimes when you look at censorship, and so there's a point. I did a psychology degree, and one of the things in that was social constructionism, we've discussed before.
Yeah.
And all the way through, I'm learning about this social constructionism, and I'm just thinking, it's control. And then when you learn it's one of the best funded areas of psychology, you have to go, oh, okay, it's control on a massive scale, because that's the point of social constructionism, is how do you construct society? How do you get a society that you want and get people to behave in ways that you want? You can fluff that up in nice terms and go, well, it's about, having a society that works and a society that works together, blah, blah, blah. Or you can just say it's control.
Yeah, exactly. You give people the illusion of choice, so you give them a whole multitude of entertainment mediums to choose from to keep them in their little house that they spend their whole life away from trying to pay for. You distract people with choice.
Nice way to put it. I spend all of my time away from my home to pay for my home.
But I'm never in.
I spend more time with my work colleagues than I do with my family.
It's like I can't remember what a comedian says. Slavery was never abolished. Steve Hughes, the comedian Steve Hughes. Slavery was never abolished. Somebody just sat down and did the math. We've got to feed them, we've got to clothe them, we've got to shelter them, we've got to give them medicine to keep them well.
Yeah.
Or we could just give them an hourly wage and tell them to disappear at 5 o'clock and come back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, you look after yourselves. Just make sure you're back here at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we still have this attitude as well, that when you go to work, you do as you're told. Expectation that, you just work over half an hour. And I'm like, no, the deal is, you pay me, I work as hard as I can for you. If you're not going to pay me, I'm going home. That should be the deal, but that's not the expectation in a lot of jobs.
Well, no, it isn't. I think we've become slave to the corporate machine very much in the last since World War II, really, I suppose, and the rise of the capitalist economies after World War II again. Very much.
But it's socially constructed as well, isn't it? That if you've got a good work ethic, then you're a good person. If you go to work, you never phone in sick, you're a good person. Well done, you.
And who drills that into you? The school system, the education system that does what? That takes your children away from their parents for most of their time whilst they're growing up, and tells them how to fit into the nice little box that they want you in. Here you go. A lot of the education systems in the Western world now just tune out people that are capable of regurgitating information that they've memorized. But they're not necessarily critical thinkers. But governments don't really want nations of people that are capable of critical thinking and realise how many different systems are in place that have been screwing them over for decades.
No, they just want a system of people that do as they're told, pay taxes, do all these things, and don't ask too many questions.
Just clever enough.
Many questions. And
clever enough to do the paperwork, run the machines, but not ask too many questions.
If you think about us going to war with another nation for whatever reason, if you really think about it, it's stupid. But we do it all the time. We don't ask too many questions. Why are we in Afghanistan right now? Don't ask too many questions because you won't like the answers.
As soon as you investigate, though, and you look into it and you realise that how big the military-industrial complex is, how much it contributes to America's GDP, how much it's got the United Kingdom, NATO, and Europe in its back pocket as well.
What we're saying as well is about the censorship thing is that the media's got an agenda. Right, fine.
Always.
They're owned by people who've got an agenda. Facebook, though, we even said Facebook and YouTube shouldn't have an agenda. Their only real excuse for censorship is that it makes us look bad. But it's saying, well, there are other ways of doing that. But you can. But it's not fair to decide what makes them look bad in a way. It's like, well, what video is right and what video is wrong? It's not right that they decide that, really. It's when they're a social networking platform. That's their freedom is supposed to really be the point of Facebook. So
look at the censorship in China. I think that's what we've really got to be worried about. If the governments of the world go more towards the China high-tech totalitarian society where they're basically monitoring everything everybody does everywhere all of the time with camera systems and everybody's tracked. And now with the recent crisis, there's software being developed to help people to help governments track their populations of who's infected and who's not, or who's immune. So we're all going to be being fully tracked all of the time, and that information fed into the GCHQs or the NSA style information centers, and that's pretty much probably going to start occurring in all countries now following this as well.
The standard, it won't go away. That
well, certainly certainly the Western countries first of all, and then the rest of the world following.
Another virus, even if Corona sort of just becomes normal and we just have a Corona season like we have a flu season, which we will. I mean, we have very high numbers of deaths from flu, but we're used to it, so we don't panic. Corona will go the same way. But
they're not far away from
the next virus, and we can't have this happen again. We can't have this shut down again. So we need tracking systems. We need to take away a little bit of your freedom to save lives, and that's always the excuse, isn't it?
Yes, that is always the excuse. Yes, you need to make them. This is the way that the governments tend to operate. They tend to operate, and they make you fear and panic in order for you to willingly give away your freedoms for a false pretense of security.
And that's the agenda. I'm going to talk about why they do it. Maybe that's it. And we know that governments at the moment are terrified of the internet, or were terrified of the internet because it was free. It's not anymore.
And how is it government politicians have put it? Never fail to take advantage of a good crisis. They would say.
Yeah.
I
don't believe that. I know a lot of people believe the current crisis is man-made or is fake or is all this. But I personally don't. I just think
I don't believe it's fake.
I think our government's very good at taking advantage when things happen.
No.
Oh, something's gone wrong. Brilliant. How do we take advantage of this? I don't like I think we said in the last video. It's not all of them, but there's a room somewhere with a couple of probably quite old fellas going, right, now, that thing that we're aiming towards, how can we take those little baby steps towards it? How can we use this crisis to get that a little bit closer? The internet really is a problem. They won't be after this because they'll tighten up even more and censorship will become normal. And
well, I think you'll see if they try to censor the internet, like they do in China, in a lot of the Western world. I think you will see the rise of the revolution coming. To be honest, because once people can no longer use the internet to chat freely, when they know that the mainstream media is so biased and corrupt. And controlled by so few people that a lot of people, the young generations of today, are now getting all their news online. And then if you stop those people from being able to produce their own programs where they do their own research, their own news reports, etc., and the people are forced to only get their news back from the corrupt mainstream, that I think a lot of the younger generation already are fully aware of, thanks to the internet, then I think that will lead it down a path to.
Yeah, when our current generation becomes off, my worry is that at the moment, at least, 99% of people don't care. They want to watch the news. Most of them don't watch the news. They'll read headlines and then make an opinion. And as long as they've got their 20 different coffees, Amazon delivers the next day, and they can earn a decent living, they don't care. They just don't care enough.
No, you're right. Yeah. Again, it goes down to people being, I suppose, people's time, because of the fact that they have to work to earn a salary. That takes away a lot of their available hours. Then the rest of theirs is normally family and children and dealing with all of that, and then sleeping. So I suppose
that's the difference, isn't it? As long as their life isn't influenced, obviously.
yeah.
They can lose freedoms, but half the time they're not that bothered as long as their day to day can keep going on. And
I'd liken it to heating a frog up in a frying pan. If you put a frog into hot water, sorry, in a pan, it will jump straight out. But if you put the frog into cold water in the pan and then slowly heat the water up, it doesn't realise that the temperature is slowly increasing and it'll burn to death. It'll boil to death in the pan of water. That's almost like them slowly taking away your freedoms for more for this idea of a bit more security, and slowly it'll be more and more and more, and then eventually it's all gone.
And that's what our leaders are quite good at. They realise they can't do it too quickly or there'll be riots and we'll reject it. But if they do it slowly, human psychology will allow it because we get used to it.
You probably think there'll be an argument for world government or after this as well, because they'll be arguing how we're going to control all of the different countries and their different approaches to the current crisis, and whether some people have had it ripped through the entire population and others have managed to contain it. Then how are you going to allow all that travel globally? You're going to have some kind of organisation probably controlling which people move where. And that's that's another step towards global governance.
One thing on censorship, though, I will make a point on before we wrap up. A lot of the conspiracy theories have been going out there about 5G and Corona and all this sort of thing that I don't agree with. But one of the things people were talking about was the World Health Organization director, leader. I don't know what he is. Is he a president or something?
I assume he's the director, isn't he?
Yeah.
Forget his name. Ethiopian guy. Yeah.
Ethiopian. Nobody was talking about him on the media, but he's been over the internet for 2 or 3 weeks. His history is shady, to say the least. He had an Ethiopian history in Ethiopia of covering up malaria outbreaks and this sort of thing. A lot of the videos of David Icke video, he talks about this guy. He shouts him out. He says this guy is not a good guy and he should not be in charge of the World Health Organization. A lot of those videos were banned. David Icke's video, and he's talking about this, is banned. And then we found out, and then suddenly the actual mass media found out it's true. And then only yesterday, Sky News reported everything that's been being reported on through internet for weeks. They finally got around going, oh God, who's actually in charge of this? This guy is not a guy we want in charge. His history is awful. How the hell did he become in charge of the World Health Organization? And he's leading us through this crisis. Sometimes you throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think that's what I'm trying to say. If when you start censoring things. So yes, all right. There's stuff about 5G. I don't agree with. I don't believe. I think there's a lot of science to argue that likely what they're talking about is nonsense. But then they talk something about the leader, that this guy, but that video got censored. So something really important that we actually do need to talk about got censored because of something else they didn't like, and that's wrong.